Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the time you're watching this tutorial. I am Kirabi's Craft and Accessories. So I want to believe we are all not beginners, we are professionals and we know how to sew our multi-pleated V-band. So what you're seeing me do right now is I'm measuring 1.5 from my pleated band to the body of the turban. I'm measuring 1.5. So once I'm done measuring my 1.5, I'm going to align those marks together. If you have a ruler, you can actually use your ruler to measure it out. You just mark it out straight up. So once I'm done doing that, I'm going to be joining those lines together, and then we move on to the next thing to do. So I have excuse me, I have joined my marks together, and that is the point where my 1.5 stops. So for our padding, you can use your wadding, your soft wadding, thick wadding, fiber or foam, whichever one you prefer. But if you want it to be bulky, I'll advise you use your foam. So now I'm inserting my wadding inside my marked 1.5. I hope you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to be pinning it down. Where I'm pinning down is where I marked 1.5, so that the first pleats will be slipping on the pleats. Or should I say the first band will be slipping on the pleats. So you are going to be pinning down all through before we take it to our machine to sew. Please ensure your pin is not attached to the wadding inside. You are just pinning your fabrics only. I'm going to be showing you the back. I think you can see it. The pin is not in any way touching the wadding. So if you're using your foam or your fiber, ensure you do the same thing so that when you are sewing, it doesn't affect it. It doesn't affect it. If you sew on the wadding, it's going to affect your work. So we are just sewing on the fabrics. So once you're done with this part, you sew down the part where the pin is, and then you do the same thing for the second pleat. So you ensure that the space between the first and the second one is less than half an inch. So this is what the back looks like. So you can take this down to your machine and sew. But I'm going to be pleating everything down before taking it to my machine. So I'm moving on to the next one now. The part I'm pointing at is where you're going to be sewing. So on to the next band. You ensure that the space between the first and the second one is not more than half an inch. Half an inch. So from that point where my thumb is, I'm going to be inserting my wadding again. Please look at the way I'm fixing it. Sorry about that. Look at the way I'm fixing it. So I'm going to be pinning down that part as well. I'll be pinning down that part as well. And that part I'm pinning down is where I'm going to be sewing. So that is the same thing you're going to do for the third, the fourth, and the fifth band. So you can decide to make it 3. You can decide to make it 3 pleats, 3 bands, sorry.